Good morning. I'm Asif Chowdhury and welcome to commsHERO Week 2022. Emojis going off already. That's really great to see. So we're finally here. We were going to be here 19th of September, but we had to move that for the Queen's funeral, and rightly so, because lots and lots of you comms people were absolutely super busy having to deal with all the comms. We wanted to give you a break after that, and a well-deserved break, I'm sure it was. So here we actually are now. This has been a year in the making from when we did the last one. It's the third commsHERO week that we've scheduled. And during this week, you're going to enjoy lots of live stream sessions from over 70 speakers talking about all comms related subjects such as leadership, accessible comms, emotional storytelling, sustainability, crisis comms, and loads more. Of course, we're not expecting you to watch all of the sessions live, so you'd be pleased to know that the content is on demand for 12 months. That's a whole year to bag your CPD points, so don't feel any pressure about having to visit any of the live sessions, but I'm sure you've got lots of your favorites lined up, including the one that we've got kicking us off, which I'll introduce shortly. So we're holding competitions through the week as well. So it wouldn't be commsHERO week without a few competitions. But there's two ways to win this time round. So we've gone even bigger this year. So there's loads of great prizes. So first one's nice and simple. If you're on the platform, share your photos of slides, of slide decks of the speakers, anything that's happening in the platform. You can share that on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and make sure you include the hashtag commsHERO. So that's very important. And that an entry, just a post on any of those social channels will get you into the competitions. There's a daily competition going on. The other competition, just by being on the platform, there's a leaderboard. So there's gamification in this platform. So attending sessions, attending networking tables, spending time in the platform, dropping in, posting comments, posting questions for all the speakers or the speakers that you're watching. All that interaction is going to get you points to work your way up the leaderboard, and some special prizes at the end of the week as well, some fantastic Amazon vouchers. So I wanted to say a massive shout out and thank you to all the speakers, the resource team who have put together the event, and they're working really hard behind the scenes to make all this stuff happen in the platform. So big shout out to those people, and also our sponsors and event partners. So we've got, wait for this roll call of big names, Wads Inc. So thank you, Stephen Waddington and Sarah Waddington. First up, Blink, Karma, Work Networks, CIPR, CIM, PRCA, and the IOIC. So that's all the housekeeping introductions sorted out. It's a fantastic platform. Enjoy it. Go and see those hosts and the partners and the sponsors that we've got on virtual exhibition booths. Go in throughout the whole week and go and enjoy that time, see what they've got to offer as well. But you're not forced to do that, but please do take some time. And there's some stuff that you probably will learn from them as well. So all that remains, I'm going to introduce our next speaker shortly, but have a fantastic week and enjoy. It is a week of celebrating the heroics that you perform every day. And that's what commsHERO is about, and that's why we exist. So to kick off this week, I'm delighted to welcome our first speaker. So Russell Anderson Williams, who I've known for quite a few years, who's a presentation expert and founder of The Presenter Limited. And I'm just going to read out some bio details here. Russell was born and raised in the creative industries, where he worked as a graphic designer for over 10 years. In 2004, he had the opportunity to try something new and became a training consultant and full-time presenter. It didn't take long for his creative brain to realize that business presentations were bad, really bad. And Russell will tell you, ditch the bullets, and you'll see some of that, I'm sure. So since 2009, Russell has been on a mission to improve presentations and upskill presenters. This led him to set up his own presentation design and training agency, The Presenter Limited, which he has now been running for over 10 years. So Russell and his team of experts have worked with some of the world's biggest brands, and they continue to push boundaries and challenge the norm in this increasingly important space. And having worked with Russell for quite a few years, I can certainly testify to he makes you think very differently about how you've presented for many, many years. So before I hand over to Russell, you've got the comments feature. You've got the Q&A. So if you've got any comments you want to drop in about any of the content Russell's talking about, any questions you want to ask him, I'm going to come back in at the end to pick up those comments, and Russell's here to answer those questions at the end. So we've got a 5-minute Q&A to finish off with. So please show your appreciation with your emoji round of applause for Russell, and we'll see you when he's finished at the session.
That's great. Thank you very much, Asif. Appreciate the kind introduction there. And yeah, I'm extremely honored to be the speaker that gets to kick it all off this week. So the very first talk of commsHERO 2022. Can you believe it's 2022? I know it's mad. The last few years have been crazy, and we work mainly with communications and marketing people. So I can completely empathize with everything that you guys have gone through in the last couple of years and the hard work that you put into keeping communications going internally and externally. I think it's been a big ask. So a big sort of round of applause for you guys as well. I think there should be an extra competition today, actually, if Asif is still listening. Who can put the funniest emoji, the funniest GIF into the chat box to throw me off my game as I present in the next 25 minutes, because I can see them all appearing on my other screen here, and there's some funny stuff in there. So feel free to keep adding those, and like Asif just said, there will be some Q&A at the end. Now, I don't need to introduce myself any further than what Asif just said a second ago. If you do want to check out our website, though, you can scan this QR code if you haven't done so already. That will take you straight there. You know, don't check it out now, but maybe after the talk, go and have a look at some of the stuff we do. The portfolio is incredible, and I can't take credit for it because it's all the work of my team. Although I trained them and they do what they do because I showed them how to do it. So I guess I can take credit for it in some way. But to ease you into commsHERO week, and as it's Monday morning, I thought I'd start you off with a really subtle, gentle presentation, which is called How to Make Your Slides Less Shit. So let's just throw it out there. Most presentations are shit, and 30 million is the number that you all need to remember. That's how many PowerPoint presentations are made every single day across the globe. Now, I would probably hazard a guess that 29.9999 million of those are utter shit. So what I want to do by the end of this talk is give you some of my top tips to make sure you don't fall into that 29.999 million, and that you're one of the few that are actually delivering presentations that really do resonate with your audience. They engage, they inspire, they educate, they sell. And trying to do that in 25 minutes with you is a big ask. So I'm going to keep it focused on 3 key areas. So just to start us off, have you ever heard the expression, if you throw enough shit at a wall, some of it will stick? Well, unfortunately, that is the method and the approach that most people take when it comes to building their presentations. So let's just throw as much content as we can onto a slide deck, maybe even onto 1 or 2 slides, and let's just hope that some of it resonates with the audience. That is the approach that most people are using. Now, I want you guys to be honest with me this morning. Give me a hand up emoji if you feel like that's been you over the last few years. Let me know if you quite honestly just throw content at presentations, or if people in your business tend to do that. Hands up. Well, lots of thumbs going up there, so thank you. I appreciate that. Now, the reason that this is a bad approach, you know, and we see these mistakes all the time, way too many bullet points. I'm going to talk about bullet points later on. Asif will know, and any of you who already follow me on LinkedIn will know that I loathe bullet points. So I'm going to really attack those later on and show you how to avoid them and why to avoid them. But we see things like, you know, cognitive overload, just so much content on slides and so many slides in a presentation. There's no way an audience could remember even 50% of what they see in most of the slide decks that our clients send through to us. Way too much text. There are just so many bad mistakes, terrible visuals, people grabbing visuals from Google Images, stuff that's got watermarks on it because it's copyrighted and you shouldn't be using it, pixelated imagery, just it's shocking. It's all out there and we still see it today. Even though we've been doing this for 10 years, it hasn't got any better. And the worst thing of all, which I know all of you here, being in comms and marketing, all of you are going to resonate with this one: off-brand presentations. So how frustrating is it when you spend so much time, energy, and money into building a new brand or updating your company's brand, and then your sales team or someone in the company just goes off with PowerPoint and does their own interpretation of how a branded presentation should look? It's not good. So these are all of the problems that we see. And typically, this is the kind of stuff that we see as well. So these kinds of presentations that are next to me, I can't remember where I got this from a long time ago, but isn't it ironic that someone presented this slide to a live audience and it's even titled "How to Make a Good First Impression"? Well, anyone who presents that and asks their audience to read everything whilst they're presenting is not going to make a good first impression. Now, if they'd have taken a little bit of time and thought over that slide, they might have come up with something like this: the same content, the same messaging, just easier to digest. Another classic example, which I've seen, I think, on various blogs now across the presentation space, is this one. Now, this will refresh itself in a second, so you'll see the full thing. But the content that someone's trying to get across here is so important. It's about endangered species around the globe. I mean, there's a lot of pressing issues in the world right now, but this has got to be up there in the top 5 at least. And they thought they would get this message across and engage their audiences by using every single type of animation that PowerPoint has, and then right at the very end, putting a picture of a whale. Well, of course, that's not going to work. And if they'd have spent a bit more time, thought about it some more, they might have come up with something like this. This is an interactive version of that same slide. You can click on any of those areas and get the facts and figures. So all we need to do really to improve our presentations is just give them a bit more time and a bit more thought. But I'm going to show you some of my top 3 tips today, or in the next 20 minutes or so actually, on how you can improve your process to building and delivering presentations, how you can improve your delivery, which is absolutely crucial, and also how you can improve your visuals. So let's start with the first one, the process. Now, of course, the great Jedi Master Yoda, if he was here right now, he would say, use the Force. And then he'd probably add a at the end of it. Well, I'm going to be your Yoda today, and I'm not going to tell you to use the Force, but quite similar to that, I do have a process that I call the 4 C's. And if you want to keep it short, you can call it the Force if you want to. Now, that process for building presentations is quite simple. It's core message, it's content, it's creative, and then it's communicate. Those are the 4 pillars of every great presentation. And if you follow this process, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail, you will not only save yourself a whole bunch of time, you'll end up with better presentations, better delivery, and your audience is just going to love you for it. So this process has come about over the last 10 years of me and my team building presentations for our clients across the globe. So we always start with a core message. And what I mean by that is, before you go anywhere near PowerPoint, just grab a pen and paper and think about, what is it are we actually trying to achieve? What are we trying to communicate here? What is that core message that we absolutely must make sure people remember by the end of this talk? If you don't know what that is, but you jump straight into PowerPoint and start building your slide deck, then you're going to get very lost, and your audience is not going to know which direction you're trying to take them. So core message is crucial. Once you've got that, you can then focus on the content. And again, this is outside of PowerPoint. I normally write my content in a simple Google document. I don't tend to write a script word for word as such, but normally just key points I want to go through. But everything I drop into that document links back to my core message. And this is the reason why core message is first. Everything that I put into my content links back to the core. And if it doesn't, then I scrap it. It's gone. It's just waffle. It doesn't need to be there. Now, once I've got my core message and my content, and by the way, content, I would also try and add some storytelling in there as well. Once I've got those elements, then I can open PowerPoint and I can do the bit that I love the most, which is be really creative and really focus on the visuals. So how can I bring this content to life visually inside PowerPoint so that it really becomes sticky for my audience and they'll remember it in 4 days, 4 weeks, or 4 months later, hopefully even longer. Now, the final thing, once we've built our slide deck, we've got to practice. We've got to make sure that our communication and our delivery are absolutely second to none. And the only way to do that is to rehearse. Record yourself rehearsing. I know it's painful. No one wants to hear themselves or see themselves on video. But if you can rehearse at least 3 to 4 times before that all-important presentation, then not only will you feel more comfortable and confident, but you'll have honed the delivery of that talk in. You'll have dialed it in so much that you won't waffle on, and nerves hopefully won't get the better of you. Okay, so this is the process that we've created. Shameless sales plug. If you do go to our website, you can download an ebook that goes into a lot more detail on all of those 4 key points. That's the only shameless sales plug I'm going to throw in today. But I guarantee you, most of you might be thinking, well, surely this is just an extra layer of complexity. I already hate building presentations as it is, so why would I add this extra layer? This is here to help you, not hinder you, and it will save you time. It will give you so much focus and direction that you won't waste time at any of these stages. And most people, and give me a thumbs up again if this is you, most people don't have any process at all. If they've got a presentation coming up, they open PowerPoint and start throwing stuff together. Give me a thumbs up emoji if that's you. I see a few of them going up there. Now, if you're a great presenter and you're really experienced, you might get away with it. But if you follow this process, you are going to raise your presentations to another level. I guarantee you. They will be a lot less shit than they previously were. So how can we improve delivery? Now, this is absolutely crucial, especially now that we're all presenting virtually most of the time. Now, someone I spoke to, who I think might be in the audience today, actually, they said to me when I talked to them about this section, they said, oh, you should add this guy, Adam Ant, I think his name is. I'm way too young to know who this is. Honestly, I have no idea. But apparently he had a great hit song called Stand and Deliver. I'm only joking. I do remember who he is, of course. But that is the key message that I want to get across to you. If you want to improve your delivery, whether you're in front of people in person or virtually, stand and deliver. Always, always stand up to present. And the reason for this is going to be demonstrated by my beautiful assistant here, Russell. Yes, me, just with glasses. You couldn't tell with the glasses on, could you? Now, there's a really, really important rule that I came across a few years ago. It's called the 7-38-55 rule. And all this means is the different parts of our communication, the different ways in which we communicate. So 7% of our communication comes from the words that we use. So again, that's why the content writing is really important. You want to make sure you're using the right words that will resonate with your audience. But it's only a small percent, 7%. It's quite surprising. 38% of our communication comes from the tone in which we deliver those words. Okay. And then the biggest part of our communication, right here next to me, 55% of how we communicate is body language. Now, this is why standing to deliver is so important. Let me give you an example. If I wasn't standing up right now, which I am, by the way, I can jump up and down. I wouldn't be able to do that in a chair. If I was sat down right now, I would probably be quite hunched over my screen, looking probably down at my webcam. You'd all be looking up my nose. It wouldn't be a very nice view at all. But can you see instantly I've removed 55% of how I can communicate with you guys just by removing my bottom half of my body. Whereas if I stand back, you can see my hand gestures, my movement, and all of my body language. Okay, so really important that if you can stand up, you can also stand back and people can see more of you. Also, if you are hunched over your laptop, you're actually squashing your voice box and your larynx a bit, and you won't get a good tone of voice across. Now, I can feel, I don't know if this comes across through the audio here, but I can feel as soon as I stand back up, I can just hear myself much louder, much crisper than when I was hunched over. So to improve your delivery, make sure you stand and deliver. There's lots of different ways you can do it. If you haven't got a standing desk at home, you can put a coffee table on top of your desk and put your laptop on that. The real thing that you want to try and achieve is having your webcam at eye level. That's a much better experience for the audience. And one other big benefit of it is it makes you feel way more confident than when you're sat down. Trust me, give it a go. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is how to improve your visuals. And this is the bit that I could quite honestly spend 3 days with you on, because it's the bit that I love the most. I come from the creative side of things, a creative background, as was mentioned in my bio earlier. And it's, what me and my team spend most of our time doing is building presentations for people. So what I want to focus in on is one thing, and that's the dreaded bullet point. How can we remove them? Now, before we get into that though, I want to ask you to do something. It's not difficult. I want you to think of 3 electrical items in your room. Whatever room you're in right now, maybe in your kitchen, let's go with kitchen for instance. Think of 3 electrical items that are in your kitchen right now. Now, it shouldn't take you too long. Depends on the size of your kitchen, I suppose, and how many electrical appliances you have. Someone's just put a kettle straight into the chat box there. Thank you, Andrew. Now, the reason I asked you to do that is I want you to be conscious of what just happened in your head. Now, I guarantee you, and I will put money on this, I'll bet my house on this, that what's on the opposite side of the screen to me here did not appear in your heads. You did not get a list of bullet points appear in your heads when I asked you that question. If you did, then you are probably some robot cyborg from the future sent here to destroy us or something like that. You're definitely not human, because every single human being is wired to think visually. So when we recall information, and when we even when we wake up in the morning and we go to our kitchen and we grab our coffee, we're using our visual memory to remember which cupboard that coffee jar is in. We don't realize we're doing it because we do it so subconsciously and so easily. But when you recall information from someone's presentation, you don't think about the bullet points. You don't say to your colleagues, "Oh yeah, do you remember bullet 12 from slide 52 of Russell's talk at commsHERO week? Yeah, that was a great point." No one's ever going to do that. Okay, so when you present in bullet points, you're actually doing the total opposite of what your audience's brains want you to do. And that's why a lot of presentations fail. So how can we remove bullet points from our presentation? So I've got some random bullet points here next to me, and I can just move those onto one slide. And I'm actually just going to play around with this now. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to show you exactly what I would do with these bullet points. So you may have to bear with me a sec while I drag the presentation onto the screen. There we go. And I'm going to give you, again, I could spend ages on how to do this, but I'm just going to show you the quickest 2 ways to make your what was bullet points look much, much better. Now, the very first thing you can do is highlight your bullet points. And I'm using a Mac here, by the way, today, but the features I'm about to show you are all there on the PC as well. So highlight your bullet points, and you should see a button. I'll highlight this on the screen. You should see a button here at the top of your PowerPoint ribbon. It's normally on the home ribbon, about 2/3 of the way along, and it's called Convert to Smart Art. Now, you can click on this button and you can convert those horrible looking bullet points into something that is way more visual than what you just had. So I know it's technically still bullet points, but at least we can add an image into this. So I've actually got an image somewhere on my desktop. Here we go. If I press the insert button there, perfect. So I could add images to each one of those points and just help it be a bit more visual and resonate a bit more with my audience. Okay. But to be honest, it is still a list of bullet points. So here's how I do this. Now, the very first thing I would do is drop in an image. Now, just so you know, those bullet points that are on the screen, they are all about the San Francisco Bridge. This was just taken from another presentation that we built for someone a couple of years ago. So I'm going to use a PowerPoint add-in, which is called Pexels. And this links to an image library of about 500,000 images. And I'm going to bring in an image of the bridge. I'm going to make it as big as I can. I'm going to send it to the back. I'm going to make the text white so that it stands out a bit more, like so. And now I'm going to do something a little bit controversial. I am going to duplicate that slide 4 times. Now, why am I doing it 4 times? Quite simply, because I've got 4 bullet points. So I would never have a list of 4 key messages just on one slide. I would actually have 4 slides with really clear messages on each one. So here's what I would do to this piece of text. Quite simply, take the key information, make it bold, make it bigger, and we're done. And then I would move on to the next slide. And I would do the same thing with the second point. I would get rid of all of those other bits of text, get rid of that damn bullet point, and I would do exactly the same thing here. So maybe it's the fact that the earthquake struck. Let's make that text really big. Drop it down a bit and do something like that. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So please don't think, you've got to copy exactly the way I'm doing it. But the point I'm trying to make here is that if you've got a list of bullet points, then you should have more slides. Spread your information out across multiple slides. Don't feel like you have to put everything on one slide and just hope that your audience is going to read the right thing at the right time. It's much, much better to spread even 10 bullet points out across 10 slides. And I know that some of you in the audience are going to be sat there right now thinking, wait a minute, that means I'm going to have 200 slides instead of 20. Well, yes, it does. But guess what? Your audience doesn't care. All your audience cares about is being able to understand what you're talking about as you're talking about it. So really, really important to just make that point. Now, I've come to the end of my talk now, but hopefully you've got some really, really useful tips through from there that will help you make your presentations much less shit than they might have been. And I'm going to bring up the QR code again that I had at the start of the talk. My email address is on the screen there as well. But if you scan that QR code with your phones right now, you'll be taken to our website. You can check out all the training sessions and all the design services we offer. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I am always having rants there about bullet points and how to improve presentations. So you will definitely benefit from some of the content that I share. But I'm going to wrap things up now. According to my clock, that's about 25 minutes bang on. So I'm going to wrap things up now and just go into some Q&A with you guys. And I hope that you found that useful. So thank you very much for being a great audience. And by the way, I don't think anyone did distract me with a GIF. That's how damn good I am at this. There were some great GIFs in there. I saw them. There was a cyborg. I saw Yoda doing a breakdance. There was lots of stuff. So well done for trying to throw me off my game, but it didn't work this time. So thanks again, and let's go into some Q&A now.
Fabulous, Russell. Thank you so much. That was loads of great information for the audience to get their teeth into, and lots of people will be watching on demand. So let's have a round of emoji applause for Russell first and foremost before I pick up a couple of comments and one question. And I'm going to come in with Sarah Wilcox, who is joining us all the way from Tasmania.
Oh, wow.
So you've got a global audience, Russell. So Sarah said, I like a big bit of paper or whiteboard with colourful markers to draft a storyline. So great comment. And Sarah, thank you for joining us from the other side of the world. So I've got, we're pushed for time, but I'm going to pick up on a couple of questions. One from Alison Lawton. And Alison, I'm going to pick this up. Do you have a general rule for how long you should spend on one slide?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I love that. As a general rule, I would try to spend no longer than 30 seconds, if I can, on a slide. And if you look at sort of movie directors and you ask them the same question about how long should we sort of have a take in a movie for, they'll tell you that over the last 10 years, it's dramatically gone down. Now, when you watch a movie, the take that you're looking at cuts literally every second and a half, just because our attention span is so much less these days. So yeah, I would say 30 seconds is a great rule. I break that rule sometimes myself, but if you can stick to that, I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Okay, so Emma Elston, how do you stop management from using terrible clip art? Is clip art still a thing?
Clip art is still a thing, unfortunately, and smart art definitely needs a big update. How do you stop management from doing it? I don't know that I've ever found a way to do that, apart from just make your presentation way better than theirs, and then they'll see that and they'll feel really bad. That's the only way I can think to do it.
And I've got one here from Ed Thomas, who's a regular stalwart of commsHERO and will be speaking for us later on this week. So is the power of three a thing?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. The power of three is definitely a thing. Yeah. If you look at any sort of marketing campaigns that are out there, look at some of the products that you buy yourself and sort of dig a bit deeper into the advertising and the messaging that you would have seen, and you'll see those threes come up everywhere. It really does work.
And let's pick this one up from Omar Al-Soma. So hopefully I pronounced that right. Why do you think design is the last thing that people do for their presentation?
I think a lot of the reason for that is I think that people are still very nervous about public speaking, and so I do, and I know this because we've worked with people to do this for them for over 10 years now. they will leave their presentations to the last minute. You know, every week we get calls from people who we would love to work with, but we just can't do it because the deadlines are so ridiculous. So I think that's probably the biggest reason, is everyone's quite nervous about presenting. So we hold off and hold off and hold off. And then the design is normally the last thing that's thought about.
I'm just going to go back to one of the comments from Nia Rolf. Anyone else dying to do a presentation now? So people want to get, they're itching to get cracking with the advice and support you've given here, Russell. And you've got Russell's QR code. Please connect with him. You'll find his details are put on the commsHERO website. His LinkedIn details are on there anyway, and they're here in the platform as well. So definitely connect with Russell. Lots of great free advice. But if you're looking for presentations, then Russell and his company are definitely the people to speak to. One final quick question from me, Russell. PowerPoint versus Prezi. Which is better and why?
Oh, God. If you'd have asked me that question 10 years ago, I would have said Prezi, because PowerPoint is just, everyone's just so bored of it. I have to be 100% honest these days and say that PowerPoint is not going anywhere. And in fact, everything that you can do in Prezi, you can now do in PowerPoint. So why would you move and spend money on licensing and training of a new tool? And I know that the people at Prezi are going to hate me for saying it, but it's so true. So yeah, I never thought I'd say that openly in public, as if the secret's out.
Excellent. No, thank you very much, Russell. And it's been a fantastic way to kick off commsHERO Week. So another emoji round of applause, and let's break this event platform with a massive emojis now. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Russell, thank you so much. And this session is going to be on demand for 12 months, so people can come back. Awesome. And look at that, even Ed Thomas there. I promise I won't leave my commsHERO presentation to the last minute. He's just off to look for some more great visuals.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Cheers,
if you need any
Thanks
help,
very
Ed,
much,
let
Russell.
me know. No worries. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.